What do you see in Kansas?
They are running their stuff. They're doing a terrific job of doing what they do. I mean, they play a style and they play it well. They're playing hard, they're pressing, they're denying, they're pushing up on defense, they're trapping randomly at times, they're trapping pick and rolls, they're being very, very aggressive.
You've complained before about the timing of this event, but is it one of those early tests that you think this can mean a lot for this team?
Well, we're in a little different position than I've been in the past, where you got a brand new team and you're trying to just get your team together. This team needs to be challenged to see where we are, and this is going to be one of those kind of games. So, you know, Kansas, and they're always well coached. They're always going to play hard. They're always going to be physical and get that ball inside. And you know what they do really, really well.
Cal, how would you compare the caliber of competition Kansas presents as opposed to what you face so far?
Well, everybody has the same kind of schedules. You play games that you get at home, and then you start playing these kind of games. Some people play them early. You know, I'm hearing Texas is really playing well. I'm hearing UCLA is really good. Obviously, Louisville's playing well. North Carolina, Kansas. I mean, Providence. We have a tough schedule, so our thing is kind of spread throughout the whole preseason. But you know, this is the next step. They're a top 5 team. They're predicted to be in the Final Four. I mean, they're that good. And you know, if we play like we did in the first half, last game, we'll get smashed. If we play like we did in the second half, we got a chance, because you're going to have to fight on every possession.
Do you like the fact that on a day where they kind of come out flat, they are able to, at some point in the game, flip the switch and play the sort of dominant style?
I don't know if it's flat, in that we were a little disconnected. We're going to work on that today. There were some things that I think we can do to get them to better understand things, especially offensively. The energy thing, that's on them. And it's not like they didn't come to play. It's that the other team came like a pack of hungry dogs. Well, then you can't just say, well, this is good enough. And we're learning that. We play with great energy and we match the other team or go beyond the other team. We're long, we're athletic, you know, but if they're blowing us out of the water with their energy, it's going to look like it did, and it doesn't matter who we play.
What do you mean by disconnected offensively?
We just didn't create good shots for each other. That's why we shot such a low percentage. We didn't get easy baskets. We didn't, you know, everybody, we were just disconnected. But that's fine. We should be. It's November 16th. You know.
How much of that is a product, John, of Buffalo making it a half-court game where you guys didn't get the transition stuff?
No, it was perfect. I wish we played half-court the whole game. We would have probably shot a bigger percentage, because we executed in the half-court. What we made mistakes were when we played fast and the decision-making we made. Or we just went pick and roll. When we ran our half-court offense, matter of fact, we were really good. When I watched the tape, I said, shoot, maybe this is a grinded-out kind of team.
Scott told us yesterday that this would be a big game. It's one he circled from the beginning, being an Indianapolis kid. Do you think that he'll go into that game with more?
If he plays well, he'll be the first player that we've taken home in my career that has played well. So it's possible. He could be the first. I'd rather, you know, but.
What do you need from Carl that maybe he struggled with in those first 2 games?
Well, we got to get him the ball when he is open. He's got to get the ball in a position where he can score, and he's got to play more to the scheming we're doing on offense or defense, and he's not. He's kind of breaking things off, and like he's the odd man out on a lot of stuff because he hasn't learned that this is 5 guys playing off of each other the same way. If one guy goes south, it's a basket, it's a dunk, okay, then you show why did you do this. But there was a play that this tells a lot about the kid. There was a play that I really got on him about. It was an out-of-bounds play. And when I watched the tape, he never said one word. He took it. I mean, I killed him, and I killed him for about 8 minutes straight. It wasn't him. It was another guy. He never said a word. He never threw the other guy under the bus till I watched the tape. And I went up to him and said, it says a lot about who you are. You took it, and it wasn't you. So he's going to be fine.
If a team comes out and doesn't have a great rhythm, is there a challenge to get it in a 4-minute stretch? Because sometimes you're letting guys play through that and kind of find
Well, the other team had a great rhythm in the second half and scored 3 baskets. This thing will be decided on the court. You want more minutes? Play better. You don't play as well, you're getting less minutes. You don't deserve to play, you won't play. This is about the players. I'm not doing this to be a genius. I've already told you. They all deserve a chance to show what they are. They're going to. Would I love to do this the whole year? Absolutely. But we may not be able to. It'll be decided on the court. If anybody uses this as an excuse, then you won't play. You won't. You will be the guy left out. If anybody enables you to use it as an excuse, you won't play. You know, the USA basketball team played the Olympics, and basically, not one of those players used it as an excuse. They just went out and showed what they could do. Look, you guys are supposed to talk about stuff, so you just do. Just talk and say stuff. It ain't even true, but say it anyway. And then what happens is you got some out there that will say it over and over and over, thinking that makes it true. Bottom line is, I'm doing this for these players. They will decide how this plays out. My hope is that they all play. And they'll all play because they deserve to all play. If some of these guys really stand out, but you can't do it game to game. If you did it after one game, I'd say, okay, here's the 7. If you did it after the second game, here are the 7. You just can't, you let it play out.
You talked a lot recently about that clutter from the outside, from the media, whoever that may be. How's your team, though, handling that? You
Good, good, but you know, you expect it. I mean, I know what is coming down the pike, and I'm fine with it. Everybody thought, well, watch, he won't do it in the second half. I platooned in the second half the same way. If Carl didn't get in foul trouble, we went straight by the line. Now, if someone goes in there and they're not playing, like they're not going, you're out. You just lose your minutes. So, but look, I'm enjoying doing it. I'm enjoying it because I know no kid's getting left behind. And I know the easiest thing for me to do is play 7 guys.
A year ago, you go to a game with Michigan State with all the freshmen. Are you more confident this year because you do have guys who go through it?
No, because they're playing exactly like Michigan State. They're denying wings. They're pressuring the ball. They're trying to steal passes. They're trapping pick and rolls, and they're going nutty. And we could start out 10-0 the same way. And it wasn't 10-0 we were up. It was 10-0 we didn't. I had to call 2 timeouts to get the thing settled down. But, you know, I would hope that these veterans understand what they're walking into. But, look, teams are going to play like their life depends on it. And then we got to do the same.
Cal, this is a little random and way down the road, but Louisville was awarded a 2016 NCAA regional. You guys have opened up some runs inside the state. Do you like having the chance to play those games, you know, in your own state and get going that way? It was,
when we played it in 2012, it was great. I mean, it's good for our state. It's good for a city that drives the state, Louisville. It's good for all the fans that love basketball in the state. So it's a good thing. Our team played well in that building.
What do you want to see from your guys at Kansas, just on the court? What do you want to see that didn't improve?
Just that we sustain energy, that we follow schemes, that we're really executing together more defensively than offensively. And then we're a little more specific offensively. Because here's what's happened. We're like this, so we're disconnected. We're going to narrow it a little bit so that they're more connected, so they understand a little bit better. You know, so you'll know when a guy's stepping away from what we need him to do. Doesn't mean I don't want him to have freedom to play, but I want him to know, you know, like we didn't run enough stuff when we could have. We just kept trying to go. Well, it's not there. There's 5 guys back there. When we did run our stuff on either group, we were good. We got the ball wherever we wanted it. We scored. We got great shots. We got fouled. We were in great position to offensive rebound. When we didn't and just shot quick, contested they have 3 guys around the goal or drive into 5 guys. We charged, we didn't look the same.
When you say narrow, do you mean more control?
No, just to give them more specifics what they're looking for.
Have you heard from other coaches much one way or the other about what you're trying to do with the platoon?
Yeah, I talked to guys today. They're all saying the same thing. One guy said, I'm playing 10. They're not saying I'm platooning. Why do you get all the credit, he said. And, he's a coach from one of the better leagues. And he said, look, the bottom line is they're asking me about my rotation. He said the kids decide that. They do. I mean, they'll decide as this season goes on. We don't even know if this is how we're going to defend at the end of the year. I don't know if this is the best way for us offensively to play yet. We don't. Is this the best way for us to prep? We have so many questions to answer. What we're doing here is just, it's unique in that we got a new team every year. Like, you could say what you want. This is a totally different team than last year's team, even though we have some guys back. So it's now, okay, what does this team need? What do they need from me? How do we need to play? What gives them the best chance? And by the end of the year, hopefully those questions are answered and it's not as late as last year. Last year was what? March 1st we answered questions? It took that long. There were 5 freshmen. Oh, but they're really good. You just roll out the balls. They should just win. Stuff's hard, man. This stuff is hard. Now, I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way. I wouldn't want it any other way for our kids. It'd be easier for me to have the same team back 4 years and see you guys, great. Thank you for all those wins and sold out buildings and you're the best. Now get out, beat it. I mean, that's not how we do it here. And so.
John, my wife said.
Your wife? She talks to you?
Thing to learn. She said on your post-game show last night you tried to help the fans with perspective about don't get too carried away with thinking each game's going to be a 50-point win and so on. How much of that do you feel like you need to do maybe to keep it off the players?
Well, anything that I'm saying out there, if you've known me, is trying to protect these kids against all the stuff that could run. The greatest thing about the social media that we have is I can cut stuff off in the bud. Someone wants to make a statement, if we need to respond, we can do it in 12 seconds. It doesn't run for 3 days. In the case of knowing that Andrew didn't have one of his better games, knowing Tyler had one of his better games, I knew where the dialogue would go. So I shut it down. Knowing that Carl barely could play in the game and Dakari was a double-double, I knew where the dialogue was going. Wait a minute. I knew how well Trey played and how much struggled, and I knew where the dialogue, stop it. The next game, and then I put it back on me, which was, what do you want to change coaches every time we play poorly? And I was off the top of my head, just so you know. So when I was going through the line of coaches, I could say, when I got to Coach Hall, I went back the other way. Then you start, I'm thinking on my feet, so there was no.
But John, considering you're doing something unique and so forth, didn't you expect?
I should have thrown Coach Hall under the bus, because I'd like for him to get booed.
Since you're doing something unique.
Since he jumped off the bandwagon last year. Go ahead.
Did you expect there to be a lot of clutter, a lot of?
Oh yeah, this is, and it's us, and it's me. It's Kentucky. And I'm not one to speak my mind, so they're not,
Has there been more than you expected?
No. But it's going to get worse. People are waiting. You got people right now on radio silence because there's not enough to write that story. The problem is they've written those stories and gotten burned because we turn it around and they look like fools. So there's radio silence right now because they're not going to do it yet. And even after this game, there'll be a couple that just can't help themselves. I got them! And they'll write something like, what did you do? Why? I mean, that's just how it is here.
John,
Sometimes it wakes me up in the morning, makes me laugh.
John, why are you playing it in the arena rather than the dome?
I don't know. You'd have to. I know. I would have liked to have been in the dome, but I have no idea.